We live in this when-then society. When I have this, then I will be happy. When this happens, then I will be happy. And we're always chasing it. It's elusive. So I think the reason that we are unhappy is because we think that there must be certain things within our life in place, and then that constitutes, now I can be happy. And I'm here to say that is BS. Be happy now.
Hina Khan is a self-made millionaire and former psychotherapist who now empowers individuals worldwide as a mindset coach. Through tailored coaching, she guides people to achieve their goals and unlock their potential.
So a goal is not to get. A goal is to grow. Don't bring me a little goal. I'm not interested. Bring me like a big, juicy goal, because that's what's going to cause growth. People say to me, Hina, I have this goal. I don't know how to do it. I'm like, perfect. Perfect. Because the how is none of your business. If you knew how, it's not really going to stretch you. But the goals that you don't know how to do draw on something that you don't even know is within you to come to the surface.
Hi, it's Erika Kohlberg, and before we dive into today's podcast episode, I have an exciting announcement that can help you save an extra $1,000 without having to penny pinch or change your lifestyle. On Monday, I'm running my free 5-day savings challenge, where you'll discover simple and creative ways that you can save extra money every month. And whatever you want to do with that extra money is up to you. I'll just show you how to save it. The challenge is totally free to join. All you need to do is go to erika.com/go. Erika is with a K, and you can secure your spot. By the way, these strategies that you're going to discover can help you easily save money, whether you're a budgeting novice or a finance expert. And they're going to get better and better throughout the week. But I have to tell you, I'm so excited about this and don't want you to miss out. In November of last year, we ran a savings challenge and had over 200,000 people sign up. And on average, people saved $1,005 that month through what they learned in the challenge. That means our challengers collectively saved over $200 million. So trust me when I say you don't want to miss out on this one. And the deadline to sign up to be part of this free challenge is Sunday, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure you secure your spot and get free access today. Again, that's erika.com/go, erika.com/go. See you inside. I'm Erika Kohlberg, and you're listening to the Erika Taught Me podcast. Why do you think so many people are unhappy?
You know, Erika, I think it's because people make happiness a goal. And when people work with me and they're like, okay, Hina, this is what I want. I want to be happy. That's my goal. I'm like, that is not a goal. Like, let's just scratch that off the list. That is a state. You want to be happy now. And we live in this when-then society. When I have this, then I will be happy. When this happens, then I will be happy. And we're always chasing it. It's elusive. But the real goal would be to be happy now. And what's ironic about it is when you are, all the things that you desire do happen, and it happens much quicker. It actually collapses time. So I think the reason that we are unhappy is because we think that there must be certain things within our life in place, and then that constitutes, now I can be happy. And I'm here to say that is BS. Be happy now.
So how do you think you get to this concept of being in the state of happiness now?
I think you accept that it is your birthright to be happy. Just because you're born, just because you're here. There's nothing that you have to do. There's nothing that you have to prove. You are allowed to be happy exactly where you are right now. No matter what your finances are, no matter what state your relationship is in, no matter what you look like physically, you have the right to be happy now. So that is something to accept for yourself, to receive that. And we're not conditioned to. We're conditioned that we can be happy when things look a certain way externally. So we've got to challenge that paradigm. And it's an inside job. And it starts with you accepting that you are worthy of it and you are worth it.
I feel like that sounds nice, but it's harder to apply practically to your life. Like, I can see myself and others saying, okay, well, I'll be happy when I have enough money to do this, or I'll be happy when I accomplish this. How do you start to rewire yourself to not condition it based on certain things happening?
Well, the first thing is you could be dead before that happens. Really, right? Like you could be, who knows if we don't know. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. We have now. And that's why you really want to accept this concept, because you might not make it to the point that you think you're going to be at in order to be happy. So it's really coming to the present moment. So I think the first thing is that we've got to do a lot of reframing and rewiring of what it means to be happy. What is it that justifies happiness? And whose version is it? And I just realized that I get to decide. I think that sometimes we are giving other people votes in our life when they really are not living it. And yet we're allowing others to decide when we can or cannot be happy, when we should or shouldn't be happy. So I think the first thing is that you have to accept it for yourself, that there is nothing to wait for you to be happy. It is available to you now. Now, I have to say, this is very challenging for people to accept, Erika, that have a victim mindset, because that will challenge their victim mindset if they feel that they can actually choose to be happy. I even remember in the book, A Course in Miracles, this always stayed with me. Just this line, I can choose peace instead of this. So I can choose. I think it's also realizing that you have a choice. I think we don't even think we have a choice. It's when all of these outer things happen, then I can be happy. But I don't have a choice to say, you know what, I'm happy now. And it has to do with accepting where you are. It's not denying it. It's not saying that, let's say, some challenges that you have don't exist. It's like they exist and I am happy.
What are the exercises that people need to go through to get to the place where they can say, I am happy?
Well, I think you want to claim it. So for some people, they can start claiming it now. I am happy. It is also judgments, to work with judgments. So sometimes we judge ourselves for being happy or having certain responses because we feel that we shouldn't be, because according to society, we have no right being happy because we don't have this lined up yet. So there's a beautiful statement that I'll take my clients through, which is, I forgive myself for judging myself as I need to be in a relationship to be happy. For my new truth is, I am whole and complete and happy right now. So you take whatever judgments you have that you feel could be creating the gap between where you are and where you think the happiness is, and you close that gap by forgiving yourself, because it's a judgment. The life that we desire to live is all underneath our judgments. Judgments from ourselves, judgments that we imagine other people have of us. So really part of it is learning how to think. And I know that sometimes people will say to me, Hina, I'm thinking all the time. I get up, I use the washroom in the middle of the night. Lord help me, because my mind starts racing and I'm thinking. Erika, that is not thinking. That is mental chatter. Thinking is really when you are consciously evaluating things, not just recycling the same old story, the same old narrative.
That's interesting. Actually, this is perfect timing to talk to you, because the last few nights, I haven't gotten any sleep. Like, I maybe have slept, I have my Oura ring so I can tell. The first night was 3 hours and 58 minutes, and last night was, I think, 4 hours. And my mind just wakes me up and I can't go back to sleep. So what is happening in my mind that causes that?
Well, you tell me, what is happening in your mind? Do you find that you're running through the same scenario over and over again?
Is that the definition of anxiety?
It's usually thinking about the future, like you're thinking about the future, playing it out, and you're not sure how it's going to all play out. And there's all these different things that you are imagining. Yes.
I think my biggest thing right now is I know I have to be getting a lot of sleep because I have these interviews and need to be sharp. And because of that, there's a load of pressure to get a good night's sleep. So then when I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm like, oh, I have to go back to sleep. But then that anxiety just keeps me up. And I've been up since 3 or 4 a.m.
Here's what you can do. And this may sound a little counterintuitive. Rather than fighting with, oh my gosh, okay, I've got to get to sleep, because now there's pressure and now there is a lot of awareness that I'm not sleeping. So sometimes what I would suggest is to say, I always get the perfect amount of sleep.
You just say that to yourself?
I start to accept that. I create it as part of my self-image, that I get the perfect amount of sleep. So if it is 3 or 4 hours, I'm not going to start to battle that. I'm going to say that I can perform at my best. If it is 4 hours, I'm going to go through my day. I'm not going to be tired. So rather than making it a sleep thing. So, because then when you get up, it's like, oh my gosh, what is the time? I have a few hours. Now there's all this pressure to get back to sleep, which we're not going to get back to sleep. So what if there was the belief that I always get the perfect amount of sleep that I need to function effectively? I get the perfect amount of sleep that I need to function effectively.
I kind of like that.
Don't you? Like, doesn't it take the pressure off? Like, maybe for you, Erika, that's right now what you need. And sometimes it'll be longer. You'll get a full 8 hours. Sometimes I think, like, let's just not fight it. I remember once I was up also at like 4 a.m., which rarely happens. And I couldn't fall back asleep. So I actually got up and I did some writing and I felt so in flow and I felt more rested by getting up and doing some writing than I feel I would have tossing and turning in bed and being anxious about not getting the sleep.
See, this was my big conflict this morning, though, because yesterday I did the tossing and turning in bed and just tried in bed to stay there for 3 hours to go back to sleep. And today I woke up 4 a.m., like left my hotel, realized nothing was open, but now it's freezing cold and I couldn't get back to sleep because of that. So I don't really know if either of those would work for me.
Right. But what if you built the belief now, Erika, that I always get the perfect amount of sleep?
Maybe I'm skeptical when it comes to these things. Maybe I don't think that just tricking your mind into saying something will make it true.
You're absolutely right. It won't in the sense that you've got to emotionalize it. So think of it this way, and this happens with anybody's goals. If you are planting a seed for an apple tree, the potentiality is within the seed. So actually, let me backtrack. I can talk about that afterwards. What I could say about belief is, sometimes I'll ask myself, if everything I believe is true, what do I want to believe? So in this situation, do I want to believe that I can't believe that? Or it's hard for me? Or do I want to believe that I can accept a new belief? But it's not going to just happen once. It's repetition. It's the repetition of it. And that's why it's got to come from you. Like, for example, this is why the judgment work is so powerful, because it's our own judgments that we're creating from, as opposed to generic words. So it would be whatever you could get your energy behind. What could feel good for you? Does it feel good? And you did say, I kind of like that when I first said it. So probably what happened is there was a part of you that was like, yeah, what if I believe, like, what if I just started to say to myself, I always get the perfect amount of sleep? But you see, then the paradigm, the logic comes in and goes, yeah, but really, that's not going to happen, Erika. You know, you can't really do that. Remember, this doesn't work for you. So, but usually that first feeling, that's your instinct. That's intuition. That's truth. What comes after that is usually us trying to talk ourselves out of it.
It's the lawyer brain I have.
It's the lawyer brain. I love working with lawyers.
Perpetual pessimist.
Perpetual pessimist. Oh my gosh. I have many lawyers that are clients and I love it.
You know what's funny though? Like, I feel like for other people, I'm an optimist. Like, when I see someone, I'm just like, I believe in you. You can do it.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you. You can reach for the stars. But for myself, I'm just such a pessimist. Like, I can pick on everything that's wrong, everything that, when I'm supposed to get 8 hours of sleep, I'm only getting this many hours of sleep.
Is it a habit?
I don't know. What are the choices?
Pessimistic? Like, is it a habit that it's just how your mind, what you end up looking for? So if you're looking at a situation, not for other people, but for yourself, you look at it from that vantage point.
I don't know if it's a habit versus if it's innately who I am, where I am a little critical of myself.
Right. So if you believe it's innately who you are, so a habit you could change.
Yeah.
But if
And a
it's
habit you've developed, right?
and a habit you've developed.
But I guess maybe as a 3-year-old, I wasn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't being hard on myself.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think it is?
I think it's a habit. I think it's been a way of looking at the world for yourself, not how you see others, for yourself. And so it's a habitual response.
So what do I do?
Depends if you want to change it or not. You don't have to. It's up to you. If it's serving you, if you feel like it's working and you don't desire to change it, you absolutely do not need to. If it is something that you feel it's outgrown its usefulness for you, because sometimes these things are created in childhood or created earlier on in life because it serves us. It is something that is there to help us. But sometimes, many times, it may not be useful anymore, but we're still using it because it's become a habit. So it's completely up to you.
I don't know the answer.
Yeah, and you don't need to know it right now. You don't need to know it. I mean, these are things that, and it's not a one size fits all, and it's at certain points in your life. Like there's certain things that I'm sure, we can go back and think, wow, that really served me at that time. Doesn't serve me now, or I'm in a different season right now. And there's some things I want to let go, some things that I think are kind of expired beliefs, and they're not going to serve me for my next level. For where I'm going. So one thing you could think of to help you decide is think about what it is you do want to create. Like, what do you want to create? What would you love? And does this habit serve that goal? Is it something that supports that goal, or does the version of you with that goal not think those thoughts or not have that habit? So that's one way that you can just play.
I recently spent some time overhauling my business, like a spring clean. Efficiencies were way down. The whole team was weighed down by too many processes, too many communication systems, and an overly complex task management system that just led to too much time being wasted on too much stuff. If this is where your business is at right now, you need to know one name: NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite is the #1 cloud financial system, bringing accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR into one platform and one source of truth. You improve efficiency by bringing all your major business processes into one platform, slashing manual tasks and errors. And I'm all about efficiency. Over 37,000 companies have already made the move. So do the math, see how you'll profit with NetSuite. By popular demand, NetSuite has extended its one-of-a-kind flexible financing program for a few more weeks. Head to netsuite.com/Erika for all the details. That's netsuite.com/Erika. Erika is with a K. I'll put the link in the description. Is happiness a habit too, or you said that's the state of mind?
That's a state of being, or we want it to be a state of being. So I'll tell you something, Erika. If my clients were here right now, and I do these calls every morning, I'll say today is what is today, and they'll put in the chat the best day of your life. Now it's 6 a.m. in the morning. Some people will say, Hina, how the hell can you say it's the best day of your life? You haven't even gotten out of bed. Like you're in your pajamas still. Like let the day start, right? But I decide it's the best day of my life. I create the best day of my life. I create who I'm being every single day. I create my husband, who he is to me, my children, myself. I create. So I choose. And I know I can choose. This is the most powerful thing, Erika, when you know that you can choose, and I can choose something different, and I always have a choice. And this is an opportunity for me to, life is an opportunity to practice who I am being, and my doing comes from who I am being. So I choose to be happy.
And are you happy every day?
I would say pretty much, yeah.
Because you wake up at 6 a.m. and you choose to be happy.
I choose that it's the best day of my life. Erika, I can't, today, I thought I woke up, I did my 6 a.m. call with my clients. And then I had a couple of meetings. And I thought, I get to sit with Erika today. We've never met. How fun is this? I get to meet some of the people on your team who you're working with. I met Adele and others. How incredible. I met this morning, I was getting a coffee. Richard, who is struggling, came in and asked if I would buy him a sandwich. What an opportunity for me to be gratitude, to be generous. So I bought Richard a sandwich. I didn't get to talk to him much, but that was a nice interaction. In my room, which I haven't had this, Erika, and you travel a lot. Let me know if you've had this. There was no coffee maker. There was not an espresso. There was not a Keurig. There was not tea bags, but there was a kettle. But I was like, what good is this going to do me?
Bring your own.
Bring your own. I didn't know. I just thought it was standard nowadays. But even that, I know I can choose how to respond. And it's like, okay, that's interesting. So I am, Erika, I am. And I know, listen, we live in a world where we bond over complaining, commiserating, and gossip. People feel close to people because they're like, oh, so-and-so trusts me, they're complaining. And you'll create a lot of time in your life when you cut that out. And it's not really something I do a whole heck of a lot of. And on my team, they know that it's not part of our culture to do that. So we'll look for solutions. For sure, there's challenges. There's things that come up. But then you kind of start living with a curiosity. Like I was supposed to meet a girlfriend of mine for dinner tonight. She works at Discovery Channel. And she told me yesterday that her sister is sick. So she's got to go back to Canada. So, but then a client of mine says, hey, are you in New York? And I'm like, I'm in Brooklyn. And she's like, I'd love to meet up for a coffee. And I'm like, well, if you want to do dinner, we can do dinner. So we're going to do dinner tonight. But I don't get stressed when things are not working out because everything is always working out for me. That's something I believe.
Are you type B personality?
I think I'm actually type A. I don't even know what type B is. I think I stopped at type A. I'm pretty type A, actually. Huh. Believe it or not. And I think it's being the masculine energy of the doing. I'm very much about that. But really harnessing the feminine energy of the being and the receiving and the creating has brought it into balance. So I do a lot. I'm very effective. I get a lot done in a short amount of time because I'm very clear. So, but I also work a lot with my intuition. And so it's easy. Like, I don't think it has to be hard. I don't think we have to grind and struggle. I think that's an old model.
I don't mean to be difficult, but
no, I appreciate it.
Maybe I'm just a skeptic. Like, I just don't. If you encounter a client like me who like isn't buying into it, what do you do?
Yeah. Well, for me, I'm not trying to convince anybody. And I think that's why I said to you, you don't have to change anything. If what you're doing is working for you, then that's great. I wouldn't change anything. If, however, you feel like, maybe there are some things that I can tweak, then I would invite you to think of some things as a possibility. But I am not hung up on whether you think this is a bunch of or true. The outcome, it does not matter to me. I show up. What matters to me is who am I being? So this is a perfect example. I'm not going to change who I am being for the person that is responsive and the person that is critical. I will still be grounded and be me and share. And if it's something that's not resonating, that's okay. Because who the hell says that I have the truth? I just know it works for me. And I just know I've seen dramatic change like you wouldn't believe with clients and even what I've created in my own life. And so if it resonates and if someone's like, I kind of like that, I would love to learn more about that, that's great. But this may not be I'm not saying it's the truth. So that gives me a lot of freedom too. Yeah. Because I don't need anybody to buy it in any way.
What would you say are the foundational pillars of your beliefs?
So I think it's really that, and I think this is a big thing that we see. It's that I am worthy. I am worthy. And I have to tell you, like, if people are listening to this and they're like, wow, that's amazing. Understand that this was not an overnight thing. This is years of doing this work and working on myself. And like I said, everything is a practice. Life is a practice to be able to fine tune these things that I want to fine tune. So the pillars are that I am worthy. The pillars are that, for me, a big pillar is that creation is finished. So whatever I desire already exists. Nothing is created or destroyed. And what it is, it's about me becoming the version that has it. So a goal is not to get, a goal is to grow. So that's the beautiful part of a goal, because even for you, Erika, like this is what's so beautiful about a goal. And this is why, don't bring me a little goal. I'm not interested. Bring me like a big, juicy goal, because that's what's going to cause growth. People say to me, Hina, I have this goal. I don't know how to do it. I'm like, perfect. Perfect. Because the how is none of your business. If you knew how, it's not really going to stretch you. You know exactly what you're going to do. It's more like a task. But the goals that you don't know how to do draw on something that you don't even know is within you to come to the surface. So what I know is that if I can think it, if I have the conscious awareness of something that I desire, it is available to me. Otherwise, I could not be aware of it. If you can think of it, if I have an idea of something that I desire, I now know that I could not have the conscious awareness of the thing that I desire if it was not available for me to do. So this is how I like to create. So what it comes down to is, what do you want? And you are worthy of whatever you want. I think that we have a lot of judgments for just wanting things. One of the things that I'll have my clients do is create a 50 want list. 50 things that you want that money can buy. Now that's where it really stirs up people. Like, it triggers them, because they're like, I shouldn't want this. Or they can maybe do 5, but then they start judging what they put down. And that's why there's 50, because it forces you to think, like, what would you really love that money can buy? And again, it's not about the stuff that you get. That's fun, but it's about who you become.
Okay, so the point of this 50 money exercise is to learn who you become from writing it down?
So you write it down, and what you learn are all your judgments about it.
So, so the process of feeling like, okay, if I write down yacht, I'm going to be judged, or I'm judging myself?
You might judge yourself. You might not, but many people...
Not that I want a yacht. It just seems like something someone would judge themselves for.
Exactly, because they'd be like, do I need a yacht? You know, the people that have yachts, like, you know, all of these judgments we may have around people
really
that have
investment.
yachts. It's a bad investment, like all of these things. So the whole point is just to allow yourself to want things. I am not saying go out and buy them. I am not saying to do anything, but just to allow yourself to want. It's even like, you know, Erika, when you go to a store, and maybe many of your listeners can relate to this, many times it's habit. The first thing we do, we may see a blouse that we like, we'll go, and what will we do?
Check the price?
Exactly. We walk, we flip it over, and then we're going to decide if we really like it or not. So one of the things I'll tell my clients too around this is just go into the store and simply don't look at the price, look at it and try it on and see if you like it. You might not even like it regardless of what the price is. You might be put it on and be like, I don't really like it. But we don't know what we want because we stop ourselves from taking it further to really see. But it's kind of like, I mean, Abraham Hicks talks about this, that if you, in knowing what you don't want, you can get clarity on what you do want. So it's a very powerful exercise. I remember one of my clients, bless her heart, she was like, I said, she did her 50 want list. I said, okay, so what was on your 50 want list? And she said, tights. And I said, okay, that's great. Like, you know, from where? She was like, from Old Navy. And I was like, okay, maybe we can just dream a little bigger. maybe we could, you know, and it's so funny because we've worked together and now her 50 want list is very different. But again, it's not about the stuff. It's about allowing yourself. And it kind of comes back to happiness because we think that, oh, well, when I have that, I'll be happy. But that's not the point at all. It's like, be happy now, exactly where you are with exactly what you have, and you can desire more. So another reason that want list can be so compelling is because we grew up with a narrative like, you shouldn't really want. Aren't you happy with what you have? Don't be greedy. You're not grateful. But it's like, I live in gratitude. I can be grateful and I can desire more. It's actually natural. What is not natural is for us to always push down what we want and make excuses and justify why we shouldn't want the things we have. It is natural. This is what evolving is. We have rich ideas like this. This was an idea. You had an idea. And now here you are traveling the world. That was an idea that you allowed yourself to have and move on. There's other people that are looking at you and thinking, well, I can't do it. Erika can do it because of this, this, and this. They can do it.
Yeah, anyone can.
Anyone can do it. Look at how cute the sign is.
It's essentially that they're not mutually exclusive. You can be completely happy with what you have, but also still want more.
Yes.
And some people think that they are mutually exclusive, where if you're happy, that means you don't want anything. So you have to suppress everything down.
Yes. And could you imagine that, Erika? Like you must, like, in our conversation before, you're up to some fascinating things, like doing incredible things. I mean, could you imagine just thinking, okay, I don't desire to experience anything more.
No,
right? Like it's not natural. Like that would be odd to say, I don't desire to experience anything more. And whatever that is perfect. I don't judge anybody for whatever that is. It doesn't have, for someone, maybe it is a yacht. And maybe for them, the vehicle to the yacht is the goal. And the vehicle to that is creating an incredible business that impacts millions of people. But that was the vehicle that allows them to create the revenue to be able then to have that. But it's that desire for the yacht that allowed them to open up to that idea.
I like this 50 wants idea.
Yes.
So what's
do it
another
on the plane?
extra? I will.
Or do it at 4 a.m. when you're up. Seriously, you just say to yourself, I get the perfect amount of sleep and I'm doing my 50 want list.
What's another exercise you take your clients through?
So we did the forgiveness statements for judging themselves. We do the 50 want list. And then the other piece that we do, and this is really important, is understanding how is it? There's a lot of talk now about manifestation. We hear about manifestation, creating a life that you love, but how does that actually happen? So what I do is I show my clients how it happens in nature. So whatever your idea is, the potentiality is within you. That desire that you have is unexpressed potential, unexpressed possibility. And think of it like a seed. Like if I've got some apple seeds and I know that I'm going to plant these apple seeds. And then there's a process according to law, nature's law, that will happen for that seed to become a full-blown apple tree. But much of the work, Erika, is done underground and we don't see it. So Price Pritchett said this, and I think it's brilliant. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Most people want to start giving up on their dreams, giving up on their goals because they are not seeing anything. But if you look at the life cycle of an apple seed to an apple tree, it does not look like an apple tree until the very, very end. So the physical is the last place of the whole process, of the whole manifestation process, but it's manifesting the minute that you start to plant that idea. So what I say to my clients is, imagine your idea and you're planting it into the fertile soil of your mind. What would look like the watering, the tending to the soil, is you emotionalizing it. You getting emotionally involved in it. What does it feel like to be traveling, if that's what your desire is? What does it feel like to be in that home? What does it feel like to have that business, or to be in a different role in your company, or to have a certain amount in the bank account, or to have investments or a portfolio that you would like? What would that feel like? And then what you want to do is make decisions from the place of the goal. So you're actually not, it's kind of interesting. You are taking steps to the goal, but you're working from the goal. So one question you can ask yourself, Erika, which is so powerful, is when you're stuck, is what would the person with my goal do? And that's also when issues, like if there's issues that come up, they can feel very small because you're like, the person with my goal would be just like, this is so insignificant. Why am I even giving it any energy? So that's something that you can do to really move the needle. But it's understanding that the apple tree does not look like an apple tree until the very end. So your goal might look like it's not happening. You may be feeling like there's a lot of problems and challenges and setbacks. That's what I call the messy middle. Everything looks like a mess in the middle. I don't know, Erika, you move around a lot. Have you ever been in a renovation?
Right now I am in the middle of one.
Right. Okay, so you're in the middle of one. So you know how in the beginning of a renovation, it's so lovely because you've got the plans. You're thinking about the furniture or whatever it is, and then the renovation starts and your home is a construction site. And they're finding things, behind the walls. And it's all the unsexy stuff that you've got to do, but you've got to lay down that foundation. When it comes to our goals, that's the part that can be hard to go through. But that's why you've got to have that desire, know what your goal is, and be emotionally involved in it. And that will help you through the messy middle.
How do you know whether a goal is worth continuing to pursue? I mean, sometimes, yes, all those roots are growing underground, but sometimes...
Yeah, it's a really good question. So for me, I always say it's like to this or something better, to this or something better. So that helps. So, you're not gripping. What I say is we want to touch lightly. So you're not gripping onto it. And again, it's not based on you being happy. So it's not like, because I think that's when we're gripping, like, I have to do this, otherwise I won't be happy, or I have to do this, or otherwise I'm a failure. What Earl Nightingale said about success, which I really love, is that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So success is that you're moving towards it, that it is happening. What you want to think about and know is that you're trading your life for your goals, whether we're conscious or unconscious of it. The time is the one thing we cannot get back. So you're trading your life for it. So it's got to be that burning desire. Sometimes it's that, I don't know, Erika, if you've ever had this where you want to let something go because it feels so freaking hard and it's like you feel like it's just setback after setback, but for some reason, you still can't just say, okay, I'm done with it. I can't, like, you just still can't walk away from it. Have you ever had that before with anything that you've wanted? Yeah. So to me, that's just saying you're not done. You're not done to this or something better.
What's the biggest transformation you've seen in your clients?
Oh my gosh, Erika, so many. I mean, I think here's the thing. People will come to me. We've had people, they make their annual income, their monthly income. I mean, which as you can imagine, that changes your whole life. And it's interesting because that's not what they will talk about. That's what they maybe came into work with.
How did they pull that off?
So money doesn't come from anything. We think money comes from my clients. Money comes from ad revenue. Money comes from this. It comes that. Money comes through things, and it can come through a variety of things. If you made a decision that you want to make your annual income your monthly income, so one of my clients did this recently. First of all, for many people, that's a very challenging idea to even accept.
That sounds crazy.
Does it? Really?
Yes.
Yeah, it does. Because my husband, I said to my husband.
You're saying if you just say, I would like my monthly income, my annual income to become my monthly income.
Yeah, but it would be a goal, right? So it would be a goal that you would have, right?
Yeah.
But for some people, like they can't even accept it. Like it's especially if they've been an employee because they've always seen, they're like, how would that be possible? Because in my current model, how could it happen? And it probably wouldn't happen in that current model. But so I remember even my husband, when I would say, yeah, I think I'm going to make my annual income, my monthly income. He was like, I don't even understand the words that are coming out of your mouth. Like, I don't even understand that as a concept, but go for it. So the first thing is, can you accept that? And many people can't, but let's say you can. It's not going to happen in your current model. Otherwise, it would be happening. So the first thing is accepting it. The second is, do you want to? Because you may not want to, but let's say you want to. Then what's going to happen is then you'll start to have ideas. If you can accept that the money is here and you're open to receiving it, then you'll start to have ideas. Mm-hmm. And that's where it will come from. There's still going to be things you're doing, but now you're creating a demand for the supply. And it could happen by things that you're already doing, that you tweak a few things, that maybe you raise your prices a little bit, and then you start doing some other things, maybe some collaborations. But now you're open to the way. So that's how it's happened.
That's actually true. That happened in my case where when I started trying to make money online, I thought it was such an elusive concept. I wasn't sure if it was a scam or what it was. I remember the first few months, I made close to $0. Maybe in my third month, I made $300. But then I would see people making $1,000 online.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, if they can do it, maybe I can do it.
Yes.
And then once I hit 1,000, I saw people making $10,000 online. So I said, if they can do it, I can do it. And then I met someone who told me he was making $100,000 online each month. And so I was like, if he can do it, maybe I can do it. And so I think maybe to your point, the annual income turning into monthly income is a hard jump for most people to go to. And I don't think I could have gone to that. But I think if you break that down into smaller steps, and as you accomplish each step, if you surround yourself with someone who is a level above in terms of that goal, who has already hit the next mini goal, then it kind of opens your eyes to the possibility that, okay, if they can make $100,000, so can I maybe.
You nailed it, Erika. It's, and the studies show this, that your reference group impacts your results, the people that you surround yourself with. So you're putting yourself in conversations where this is also normalized, right? Like where it's like where the person's not like, oh my gosh, I just made this much. It's like, yeah. And you know what? Then we're going to go, the next goal is 500,000 a month. Oh, the next goal is 1 million. Like, it's just regular. It's like, and can I have a cup of coffee? And I'm going to go for 250,000 this month. Like, it's very normal and natural. So you've put yourself in that environment where you can see evidence of it, even if it's not in your bank account right now. But now you know it's a possibility for you because somebody else has done it. It's like the 4-minute mile with Roger Bannister. Roger Bannister was a runner, and the belief was in the 50s you could not run a mile under 4 minutes, that you would physically hurt yourself. Well, that is still true for me. However, Roger Bannister felt like, no, you can run a mile in under 4 minutes, and he wanted to break that record. So he wrote it down, and he would train with the end in mind. Like, who would I need to be? How would I be training to do it? So he did it. But you know what? Person beat his record a month or so later because he showed it was possible. And that's what happened for you.
I love that story. No, even on that, I was remembering there was one December, vividly remember this phone call where this friend of mine told me he made $1 million that month.
Ooh.
And I just did not even think that was possible.
Yeah.
But because he did it, it opened my eyes to the fact that people are doing it. And so the following year, that November, I had my first $1 million month.
Yay!
And I don't think it would have happened had I not known that someone else was doing it out there.
Okay. So can I go further with this, Erika?
Yeah, let's do it. This I buy. This I'm getting.
Yeah. So here's the thing. This is what's so beautiful. This is why I share things like things that I do, the way that I travel, because when you do that, you're somebody's possibility. I remember one of my clients said, Hina, I had to work with you. She goes, I remember seeing your picture, I think, on a thing, and I thought, who's the brown girl on a private jet? Because you just don't see a lot of brown girls on private jets, right? Like it just wasn't, so it cut through the noise. And again, it's like, wow, if she can do that, that's available for me too. So we show people what's available for them. And that's why I think that it is important. Like sometimes we think vulnerable post is when we're sharing something very sad or heartbreaking, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I also think it can be very vulnerable to be sharing your success. But this is why I do it, because I know that I am someone's possibility. Somebody is looking at me and saying, if she can do it, I can do it. Just like that person did that for you. And Erika, you are doing that for somebody. They're looking at you and they're looking at the way that you do it, the way that you show up, that they can relate to, because it could be that you're doing something very similar that somebody else is doing, but that person, that doesn't resonate with them. Just like for that woman who was also South Asian, the way that I showed up resonated for her, because also she didn't see a lot of that growing up too, in our culture as well. So I'm thrilled. And I'm thrilled that that happened for you. because that person showed you what is possible for you. $1 million a month.
But like you were saying, it's the combination of seeing that it's possible, but also surrounding yourself with the people who are making those kinds of things happen, because they do think in a different way.
They do. They do. And there are things that would not come out of their mouth, like even the way that they talk about money, like things like, oh, I can't afford that, or it's so expensive, or, it's very interesting the way that they look at it. It's very neutral. They're pretty neutral about it. And so when you can put yourself in that atmosphere, it's wonderful because it can challenge your own belief system about it. And also then seeing people with wealth that are great people. It's just it just amplifies who you are. And you see them because, again, it gets you out of that paradigm around, oh, they're greedy, they're, doing all of these things that are bad. The other thing is, especially for women, Erika, just around even investments, to talk about like it's not part of our nature until now, and it's changing, which I love, to even talk about investments. So, one of my clients, she is a real estate lawyer, and she also does a lot of private lending. And, these are things that we've talked about, and I've invested with her. And those kinds of conversations need to happen as well as a natural thing to talk about.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah, very, very important.
What else do you believe about money mindset?
So here's what I think is very important, is to know how to make decisions. Many times people will say, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, but I don't have the money. And again, it's kind of like looking at the price tag. I think a healthier money mindset is when one encompasses the ability to make decisions. And what I mean by that is you don't need the money unless you've made a decision that you're going to do something. Otherwise, you don't need the money for it. And the ability to make decisions, I think, is critical. So if we look at Wernher von Braun, aerospace engineer, John F. Kennedy says, what will it take to send somebody to the moon? Wernher von Braun said, the will to do it. Now, I don't know if you've seen any movies during the time of like 1969, but the technology, phones were attached to the wall, Erika. Phones were, I still can't imagine that people have been to the moon with all the technology we have now. But at that time, but all of the resources, the technology, the money, everything that was necessary came after the decision was made. It wasn't like, well, first we have to do this, this, and this, and then we can do it. It's like the will to do it. So I think sometimes we allow not having money to stop us from doing things. And that's why the 50 want list can help, like just to get into like, what do you want? So what do you want? So being able to make decisions is very important. When it comes to money mindset, I think it's understanding what money is. It is energy, and you are worthy of it. It is not just for certain type of people. I am proof of that. It is not for a chosen few. And that abundance is your birthright, and understanding that having it does not take away from anybody else. If you are on the competitive plane, if you are trying to make money through competing with others by taking from others in a way that's not, ethical, you will not be able to hold on to it or have it for very long. But if you are on the creative plane of creating, it's just more and more and more. You expand, expand, expand. And so it's to understand that money is neutral. It amplifies who you are. And it is available to you just like it is available to everybody else. And you're probably not asking for enough.
So is that what you think is the difference between people who have money and who do not? That they don't have the right mindset around money is energy?
I think it has to do a lot with the beliefs of even worthiness and what we've been told. I think we've been told things like money is the root of all evil. Right? Rich people are greedy, that, oh, well, money can't buy you happiness. Like there's a lot of negative connotations to it, which I had as well, which is interesting to think about now. where I thought that even desiring it, like wanting wealth, was I had judgments around that made me kind of a bad person. So I think that is what actually holds people back, is that they've got judgments about desiring it and they think it is not noble. Even things like the starving artist, that you're a sellout if you should be doing well, or something takes flight that you're doing in the arts community. Well, now you're a sellout. We should be, scrimping and saving, or it's not spiritual.
I think there's truth to that. I feel like when I was younger, I did not think it was okay to want money or talk about money.
Yeah. Oh, right. Right. Very true.
And especially with my Japanese mother, money is just not something that you should really desire or talk about, I think.
But you did break out of it. And what a beautiful thing, because our parents did what they did with their level of awareness, and there's no judgment on that. It's just, we can really change things for future generations, especially for women, little girls out there.
When did you realize that you needed to shift your mindset around money? Was there a specific event?
You know what it was? So I'm a former psychotherapist, and in the psychotherapy practice, it really is time for money. I saw clients individually, and so I knew I wanted to create wealth, but I didn't understand how I could do it in this model. And so I started to look at other avenues because I wanted to help people and create a big impact as well. And I realized that coaching would actually be the way to be able to do that because of the confines and the restraints within the psychotherapy industry and how we were legislated to practice. And so that really opened up my eyes. And then I started to see other models and see other ways and mentors. That's what it was. And my reference group and talking to people and be like, oh, and realizing that I think I've felt like that was for other people, but then realizing this is actually available to me. So now I can choose. I can choose if I want this, and that it is okay to create wealth and a lifestyle that I love by helping people. And it is okay to be compensated very well for the work that I do, because I do really good work and people transform just from being in my energy. And it is not only okay, it is in the client's benefit to pay for that. The payment is actually for them. So it was understanding, it was coming to this level of awareness. I just wasn't aware before. And then being honest with myself and saying, yeah, I would love this. I would love this. I would love to travel. But there's so many edges that I hit, Erika. I remember on my 50 want list was flying first class and to Australia, where I had a friend. So this was before there was even like a trip in the works to Australia. And I have 2 boys and my husband. And I was like, oh my gosh. And from Toronto. So that's like a flight. That's a flight. And then my friend in Australia said, Hina, I want you to come to my wedding. I want you to be in my wedding party. And it's like, okay, so now here it is. Here it is. And I looked up the flights and oh my gosh, Erika, all the friggin' judgment. The boys are little, like they're small. They don't need first class. Like we can they're little. So even if we get a row of 4, like all of these things, like I don't really need it. We're still going to get there. It's the same airplane. Like, I don't know if you've ever had these conversations. I was having all the conversations because it felt bananas to pay what it would cost to go from Toronto to Brisbane first class in the pods on Air Canada. But I'd written it down on my list. And I wanted it, but it was an edge for my self-image. Am I somebody that flies first class? I never thought I was. It turns out I am. I'm very comfortable there. But I always thought it was a certain group of people that did that. And in my eyes, it was like white men going on these business trips. And I remember booking it, and I didn't even tell my husband because otherwise I didn't want to be talked out of it because of his paradigms around it. And so I just had to book it, and I booked it. And the thing is that you receive a psychic income, like there's a psychic increase, just like so I booked it in November. We weren't flying till March.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of time where, I was kind of going back and forth. Sometimes like, did I make the right decision? But then I acclimatized to it. And then I told Paul, and we surprised the boys with it. And in fact, you know how when you go on first class, you board first. The boys thought we were boarding first because they were kids and they were used to us boarding first, people with children. But they turned left instead of turning right to the back of the plane where we would normally go. And they turned left and they're looking behind and they're like, I think we're in the wrong spot. And I was like, no, those are your seats. And then other people started coming on and they were like, for the whole trip? And I was like, yes, for the whole trip. And I remember at one point, the flight attendant saying, I was just standing up and he's like, I'm warming up a chicken sandwich for your husband and a cappuccino. Do you want anything? And I was like, no, but I was in such gratitude. And I would see Paul stretched out sleeping. And all I felt was grateful. Gratitude. Thank you. And what a cool experience. And I didn't want to go to sleep because I wanted to touch all the buttons and stuff and the massage feature. But here's what happened. Is I loved it. And I thought, I want more of this. I actually want this to be my normal. But I wouldn't have known that. Right, Erika? I wouldn't have known that. And then I was like, okay, who would I need to be? What would I be bringing in? What would I be creating in the world where this is how I travel? And that's what happened. I don't even know how I got onto that topic, but
all I can think of as you're saying this is, do you know how to use credit card points? Because Air
Yes,
Canada
I have my
has
Aero
a great points plan.
Yes.
And you can get these first class flights for points.
For points.
So you don't have to pay anymore.
Yes. I am racking up the points.
Okay.
And also Amex too.
Because I know I'm not supposed to judge, but I've never paid cash for a business or first class flight.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you did it because I get that it
Yes.
was an experience and it was eye-opening, but you have to use points only.
Yes. I feel I have touched a nerve with Erika. Everything in her body is like, you're a lovely person, Hina. I support your decision, but use points. Damn it.
You got to use points.
Yes. So, I do use points. Now I do use points now. However, what do you think about this, Erika? I'm just curious. So sometimes people say, but it's a business expense. So why would you use points on a okay, that was a family trip. But for your business trips, do you use points?
Yes.
Why? Wouldn't you want to use it because it would be a business expense and then
It's
get
my
the
own
points?
business. I'm taking away money from the business. If the concept of paying $5,000 for a first class flight, I could just never.
You could never.
Oh
That's
my
an
gosh.
edge. Wow.
I'll probably have to have $100 million before I'll pay cash for a first class flight.
So Erika, November, $1 million month. Doesn't matter. It's still going on the points.
Yeah, or I fly economy if no points are available.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, this is so fascinating to me. I love it. You see, so we all have our thing, right? It's like at what point, it's kind of like when you're watching a movie and even like a movie like Shrek. And then there's one point where you're like, oh, come on, that's happened. And you're like, the donkey's been talking all this time, but that's not where you had an issue with it. It's here that you've got the issue with it. So that's really interesting. I love that.
No, but I know the whole thing is not to, your thing is your thing, my thing is my thing.
Yes.
You do your thing, but just make sure you're using the points.
Yes.
If
yes.
possible.
If possible, I use the points. And it's interesting. We were coming back from Florida. And so again, people may have judged me. My boys are at that time, how old were they? It was just last year. They were 13 and 15. And I was actually in the front of the plane and they were in the back of the plane.
That's what I like.
Oh, yeah. Because
Yeah.
I also figured I want them to be independent. And there's going to be times where I would love for them to be able to travel on their own. So this is kind of the best of both worlds. But again, that was an edge for me and judgment, my own judgment. I'm a bad mom. What if something happens? But it just teaches them to be independent and ask for what they need. But you see, anytime we're going to do a stretch, not anytime, this is not for everybody, But it's the judgments that we face, right? Like that's what
and
makes
my
it
judgment
hard.
of your first class
And
flight.
your
I felt
judgment.
bad.
No, but I love it, Erica, because now we get it out. And now there's somebody listening to this that's like, oh, I can choose which way I want to do it. And I can choose to do points. If that's what feels easier for me and feels lighter, then that's what you do. If it feels like, no, for this, I feel like I need to do it this way. I want to pay for it because that's what my next level is, then that's great. We can all get along.
What about just generally, how did you get into what you do now?
Well, I always wanted to help people, and I knew that was it. And then it just showed up in different vehicles. Meaning psychotherapy was one, and now it's really coaching, and we've got a coaching certification program. I do group, individual, and then smaller masterminds. But it really still comes from the same place of wanting to serve. Just serve, and be of service and help people. Really what it is, Erika, nobody is broken. It's actually remembering who you are, your perfection. And to me, when people work with me, it's really a return to themselves. That's what it is. And so if that's one-on-one with somebody, it's one-on-one. If it's in a group, if it's a retreat, in whatever way. And all I know is that the person sitting in front of me is the most important person, and I'm here to serve them. Whether that's Richard who needs money for a sandwich, or it's on Erika's podcast.
I need a lot of help, so this is good. I love what you're saying about being there for the person sitting in front of you, the people that you want to serve. Can we just pretend that I am your new client?
Yes.
How do you start working with people? What would you ask me to understand where we need to work?
Erika, it always starts with, what do you want? If anything is possible, what do you want?
I think it goes back to the very first thing we were talking about. I think I want happiness.
And then I would say to you, Erika, happiness is a state. So I would want to understand a little bit about, do you feel that you are not happy?
I think I'm happy most days, and I'm happy with what I'm doing. But no, I'm not happy every day. And I think I struggle some days.
Yeah. And that's okay, because that's what the contrast is there for. So for example, we would have to know sadness, disappointment, regret in order to know happiness. It's like, if light wanted to experience light, there has to be darkness. It can't experience light if it's light all the time. So if you want happiness and you're happy most of the time, what you can ask yourself in times where you become aware that you're feeling, it's to feel your feelings. I'm not about bypassing or anything like that. You want to feel your feelings, but also know that you can choose something different. You can choose happiness. And what do you imagine would be happening in your life for you to be happy most of the time? Can you allow yourself to be happy most of the time?
Maybe.
So a lot of people have struggled with that. And Gay Hendricks talks about it as upper limit. That when we hit a limit where we may be happy or things are going really, really well, we'll sabotage unconsciously.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah.
I self-sabotage.
We complicate it. We self-sabotage to go back to a place that we're comfortable with. And so sometimes we will procrastinate and sabotage when things are going really well. And it would happen for me too, Erika, where it's like I would have an opportunity and then I would start to imagine, and it would just be like an automatic imagination of something going really wrong, which would make me not able to do that opportunity, but I could justify it because something catastrophic happened. And I wasn't even aware that I would be having these thoughts. And when I said that and you said, oh, that's me, was there a particular moment that came up for you that you're aware of?
I don't know.
You don't even have to use this. You don't have to use this.
So 3 years ago, if you would have told me I would have
a book being published, I would just say, no, you're crazy. But I'm lucky enough that all these publishers have reached out. So Penguin Random House, Simon Schuster, like all these publishers want me to publish a book with them. And so I had all these meetings this morning with Penguin Random House, Simon Schuster. And this morning I canceled all of them. And that's a crazy person thing to do. Like no one in my position would do that. But I don't know if that's self-sabotage or...
What do you think?
Really, I was tired and I wanted to try to sleep more for you. So,
Aww.
so I was like, it's more important to be present for you than to have these meetings. But maybe there was also an element of self-sabotage.
Yeah, because what would it be like for you to have your book in every bookstore at the airport? Because you do so much traveling and you go by and there it is. There's your book. There you are, now taking bigger stages.
I don't feel like it should be me. Like,
there you go. Stay with that. I don't feel it should be me. Why?
I don't know.
So that's a judgment. So this is what we'll do, and we're going to do it right now so your audience can have an example of it. I forgive myself for judging myself as it should not be me. We know what the it is. It should not be me. For my new truth is. So say the full sentence. I forgive myself for judging myself as it should not be me. For my new truth is. And then fill in the new truth. I forgive myself for judging myself.
I forgive myself for judging myself.
That it should not be me.
That it should not be me.
For my new truth is.
For my new truth is. I can have a book in bookstores.
Yes. For my new truth is I can have a book in bookstores. I can have my book in bookstores. Yes.
Why do you think it's hard for me to say that? And then some people it just seems to come so naturally to them.
I would say that those people that it seems to come naturally to, at one point it was hard for. Most likely it was hard for, but they practiced and they did it. So now every time you have that judgment, so now let's say these things have been postponed, rescheduled, these meetings, any sort of thought, or you have a thought of canceling it or catastrophic thoughts like I did, it's like, I forgive myself for judging myself as it should not be me. For my new truth is I can have a book that's in bookstores. And then it could even be, I'm so happy and grateful now. Like this could be the goal. Maybe it's a goal that you have. I'm so happy and grateful now that my book is a New York Times bestseller, helping people change their view on money, on whatever the book will be about, impacting people globally. See, here's the beautiful thing of a book. You can now reach a hell of a lot more people in different languages. So we do this because it's something kicks in that is telling us it's not safe to be that, Erika. Go back, cancel the meetings, sabotage it. It's a good reason you didn't get enough sleep. But you're someone that always gets the perfect amount of sleep. But so we do that to ourselves to justify it. And the thing that's really kind of nutty about it is that whatever we believe is true, so we'll believe our justification and then it won't happen. But then to us, it makes sense. So that's why, when we can interrupt it. And that's why the most important work we can do is on ourselves, because that's where we expand our awareness. You've just had an awareness of something that you do. So now you're going to have more and more opportunities to practice it, because part of you is going to be like, I want to sabotage this. But now you're not unconscious to that. So when we do the work on ourselves, that's what changes our results. The external world is a mirror of what's happening internally. And so this is where I say it's all practice. And then slowly over time, you're going to be happy most of the time, because there's not going to be reason to complicate it, because you'll understand it, and any judgments that you've had, you will be able to deal with it because you'll be aware of it.
I absolutely love that. Thank you so much for doing this. So we have a closing tradition. The podcast is called Erika Taught Me.
Yes.
But really today is all about Hina Taught Me. So what do you want people to walk away from this saying, Hina taught me this?
I would want people to know that Hina taught me that I can truly have it all. I can create a life that I love, and I can create it through ease, joy, and fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Erika.
If you've enjoyed the episode, please take a moment to leave a review. It really helps support what we're doing. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you next Tuesday on a brand new episode of Erika Taught Me.